Well, this just in, out of the NFL, the Cleveland Browns are trading Kenny Pickett to the Raiders for a 2026 fifth-round pick. That's according to multiple reports. The Raiders were in the market for a backup quarterback after Aiden O'Connell broke his wrist in the preseason finale. The move now opens up the possibility for either rookie Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders to back up Joe Flacco in Cleveland. And for more, we welcome in CBS Sports NFL analyst Emory Hunt. Emory, it seemed like a guarantee that the Browns are going to keep 4 quarterbacks. That is no longer the case. What is your reaction to Cleveland shipping Pickett to Vegas?
I mean, technically they are keeping 4. Deshaun Watson is still sitting out there, so they weren't lying. They just didn't say which 4 they were keeping, right? But in all seriousness, man, it's a great move for the Raiders, because Aiden O'Connell was a solid backup, a guy that has played some games, won some games, started some games, and now he's injured, so you have to find a way to back up Geno Smith. And Pickett was just sitting out there. He really kind of faded himself out of that quarterback competition between Flacco, and one of the rookies, because he was injured during the spring and during the 7-on-7 period where he injured his hamstring. So now he goes out to Vegas. He gets to really develop and be that backup quarterback, because that's where his ceiling is right now. He started some games, but he also has dealt with injury. And because you can't depend on a guy like that for a full 17-game season, being a QB2 where you're only one play away and really expected to play between 2 to 3 games, that's a good spot for him, because we saw that last year when he was in Philly. But for the Browns, it does open up an opportunity for them to keep another position player, preferably a running back, because there's still some question marks there, as opposed to keeping those 4 quarterbacks and you're losing a spot somewhere else on the roster.
Yeah, gives them some flexibility, but let's talk about how a lot was made over the weekend about Kevin Stefanski removing Shedeur Sanders from the game before the final drive. Now, it looks like he'll be a lock to make the team. So my question to you is this: if something happens to Flacco or he struggles, who does Stefanski go to first, Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders?
Based off what we've seen from Stefanski during the OTAs and the mini camps and training camp and in the preseason, it's going to be Dillon Gabriel. He's going to give him the first shot at the QB2 spot. If Flacco goes down, he gets to be the starter, and we'll see how Dillon Gabriel plays, and if he struggles, and he'll give way to Shedeur Sanders. And it's up to one of those rookies to really hold on to that job to keep the other rookie at bay. And what I like about this competition, I said this earlier, I was on Cleveland radio, and I'm saying, like, listen, both of these rookies, Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel, are going to benefit from what has happened during this offseason, during this spring, because they're both going to be hardened by their opportunities, by their pathway. Because Dillon Gabriel, no pun intended, everyone's talking over him as if he's not even in the room. And he's out there like, man, I got to go and prove to these people on my team that I can play. And we saw him have a really good performance against the Rams. And then you saw Shedeur, based on what we all have heard about him coming into the draft process and subsequently getting to the Browns, he now can go out there and say, hey, I'm being, tested. I'm being, driven to the max mentally. When I get out there on the field, I'm going to go make these guys pay. So I like the mental test that both of these quarterbacks are going through right now. And now here's your opportunity to seize it if Flacco struggles, if he goes down. But I do feel like it is Dillon Gabriel going up first to get his opportunity.
Browns quarterback room staying in the headlines all offseason and now heading into the new season. Emory, always appreciate your insight. Let's take a look at that depth chart right now in Cleveland. Joe Flacco, 18 years in the NFL. You'll get the 2 guys behind him, both rookies. Of course, Deshaun Watson expected to miss the entire 2025 season with a right Achilles injury.
Right, McFadden in with reaction, Mac. Lack of depth, I think, is Myers' greatest leverage here. Maybe disrespected in some of the production he's had over these last couple of years. He's the only rostered receiver north of 550 yards last season. The Raiders then counter by signing Amari Cooper to a 1-year deal. Does Myers have a case for some new money on his current deal?
No question, Joe. No question. Jacoby Myers under the radar a year ago. Brace yourself. He was the most consistent wide receiver in the National Football League. He was the most consistent. And what I mean when I say that, consistency is always showing up. He didn't drop one pass last season. One pass. Now think about how up and down the quarterback play was in Vegas. And I'm being nice and kind when I say up and down. But let's keep it real.
Which one was up, which one was down?
It was more down than up. I can tell you that much. But I'm being nice right now. We got a lot of kids watching us, so I'm being nice. But it didn't impact Jacoby at all, right? Jacoby didn't have one drop pass, over 1,000 yards. So when you look at where this wide receiver market is sitting at, we just talked about Terry McLaurin getting a nice raise. You look at some of the other deals. I'm not saying Jacoby Myers should be a $38 million per year wide receiver. I'm not saying that. But what he definitely needs a significant raise compared to what he is slated to receive this season. He's outside of Brock Bowers. The passing game has nothing. Jacoby Myers, along with Brock Bowers, made the Raiders a bit entertaining to watch considering how bad they were a year ago. So yes, he has a legit argument, a legit case to ask for a trade or to ask for more money. Do I think the Raiders would trade him, even with them signing Amari Cooper? No way, Jose. I don't think so, but I do agree with Jacoby forcing the issue to try to get some new money because, to your point, this is his last year of a 3-year, $33 million deal. I don't know exactly what his per year salary is, but if this is the last year of a $33 million deal, where is he sitting? Maybe around 11 million, maybe 10 million this year? What? I don't know. I'm just throwing out numbers. But clearly, whatever it is not worthy of who he is as a wide receiver and what he's done.
I don't think there was a bunch of money on the front. I think it is around that 11 number this season. And you got to have some threats outside or you're going to see stacked boxes all season for Ashton Jeanty and Brock Bowers. The Lions are looking to make some news, but not until we kick. The NFC hopefuls begin with their climb with our CBS game of the week. That's week 1 in Green Bay. Detroit working through the loss of both coordinators and an earlier than expected exit last season. But head coach Dan Campbell thinks the roster is as polished as ever.
I feel like, collectively across the board, this looks pretty good, and I would say, year 5, this is the best we felt about it, kind of top to bottom. And now that being said, there's still holes, but I bring this up all the time. Every roster has holes, and you'll never have it exactly where you totally want it, but from where we've come year after year, we've taken it another level, and that's a credit to Brad. What Brad's done in the personnel department is outstanding, man. He's just continued to elevate. I bring up the floor. We know the ceiling. Well, we don't even really know the ceiling. There's still so many of these players that are continuing to get better and better that are really good players. But by doing that, the floor has really raised. And so our baseline is pretty dang good right now. And that's a good thing.
Proof once again that the ceiling is in fact the roof. Bryant McFadden, Brad Holmes getting his flowers there from the head man, and with good reason. This roster has been impressive in years past. You look at it this year, and it strikes me as a group of guys eager to prove that the players make the plays and not the coordinators. You walk into this season feeling what about the Lions roster?
I do believe they will be successful. I think they have enough talent to be a playoff caliber team. To Dan Campbell's point, Brad Holmes has been one of the best GMs in the National Football League over the last 4 years or so. Looking at the beast he's built there in Detroit when it comes to the personnel side of things. And for Dan Campbell to make that statement, and I love that he gave Brad Holmes his flowers, I have my reservations, Joe, and here's why. When you look at the additions, quality suitors that have become part of the Lions organization, right, to help them in 2025. But look at some of the key components they've lost. And I'd just like to highlight offensive line-wise. With the retiring of Frank Ragnow, that was unexpected. And I understand they have, some youth there that could replace the production. But Frank was unbelievable for that offensive line in terms of the chemistry, the transparency, and just the ability to be elite and run and pass pro situations. Not to mention Kevin Zeitler, who's no longer there as well. That's one thing we've harped about with Detroit, especially on the offensive end over the last 3 years. Their ability to be so stout on the offensive line, right? So yes, you have some new players coming in to kind of replace some of the production that has left, but we have yet to see that on the football field in a meaningful game. One thing I know, the rosters that we've seen in the last 2 years, Joe, they won the division easily. The black and blue division, the NFC North, they won it.